Welcome back to the EUCS Qualifier Finals, where Millennium are currently leading the games 2-1 against Renegades and are only one game away from qualifying for the spring split of the European Challenger Series. So close, but also maybe yet so far, because Renegades, if they change their compositions, if they come back, if they're not tilted, they could take this to Game 5, and we both think that.
Yeah, I think you raise a good point there, is mentality at this point is you go from a game where you have a significant lead to losing that game in like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Now you have to have the resolve to reset, come up with something new, something that is going to work to keep you in the series. And it's not even that this game wins you the series. You got this game and then another one if you want to win.
Yeah, indeed you do. It's hard. It's very hard. But they've basically only just done one thing, and they've just been sticking to their guns and going full bandito and just going for gun compositions. They had Graves Misfortune in Game 1, they had Graves Lucian in Game 2, and then in the last one they had 3 AD carriers and went Graves Lucian Corki. And then it still didn't work.
Well,
so
we'll probably see 4 in the next one.
Yes, it's like if that didn't work, add more guns.
There's always more guns. Yeah. Realistically, though, I think there were a couple of minor changes that would have helped Renegades in the last game. A little bit on the itemization front, just get a little bit more magic damage in there. Yep. I don't think that was like the tipping point. I don't think that wins or loses you the game, but it certainly slows down the point at which your triple AD comp becomes less effective. But, you know, last game they first picked Poppy, and, you know, Masterwork has played a lot of Morgana, which into Poppy, pretty good.
Yeah.
And they left Morgana available, and I mean, lo and behold, Poppy into Morgana, not the greatest setup. Heaver kept just charging in, not really finding the target. Tam Kench or Morg would protect the target, and then you'd just end up completely out of position, and Heaver would lose half his health.
Yeah, like sometimes Poppy early picks work really well, but at the same time, sometimes they really don't. Like when you can pick up a composition like Morgana, as you mentioned, and Tam Kench, there's not much you can do. Compounded by the fact that there was a lot of times he was just losing his flash, and it's like, well, I guess I just can't reach Misfortune anymore then. And that happens just time and time again. So that is an example of a game where it doesn't work.
Realistically, it's something we saw in EU LCS this week. Yes, we're on a different patch. We're on 6.1. On the EU LCS, this is 5.24. Yeah. Not a whole lot changed in this discussion. We saw Vitality come out and just go, okay, well, you're going to pick Poppy against Fnatic, and we know that Fnatic are going to pick Poppy, so let's just go Misfortune Morgana, and good luck. Good luck trying to get that.
Yeah, and in practice, didn't quite work out. But I like the idea. It could have gone places, but it did not. Rek'Sai was the first ban actually coming out here.
Okay.
I think Rek'Sai has been banned so far in
no,
this
this
series.
is the first time Rek'Sai has been banned, so maybe a signal from the Renegades that they do not want Joko to have that Rek'Sai. It was played in 2 games, I believe. Let me just take another look at Game 1, what was played. It was Kindred, Game 1, was the jungler for Millennium. Morgana banned as well, so if they do opt for the Poppy for a 3rd game, that's now not available.
Yeah, I'm just hoping what they're doing isn't banning out basically most of the composition from last game and being like, all right, now we run the triple AD carry.
That would be quite funny if that's what they did.
Because look at this, they literally banned 3 of the picks they had last game and the game before.
They forced Millennium to ban Misfortune though.
Yes.
Which is the champion they have been playing. I mean, in this kind of situation, you might say that Renegades would be looking for the Poppy. I'm looking at what else is up. Lulu is available. Other bans, Kindred is up. There is a lot that is strong that is available. The Anivia for the first game is available too. So there are big options in this pick and ban phase.
Yeah, for both teams. And now we're waiting on this first pick from Renegades. Like, there's so much available. There's so much we can pick here.
But what is it? What is it going to be at this
Kindred,
point?
Rise,
I kind of feel like
AD carries.
Renegades may go for the Lulu again. Like, the comp they ran with that wasn't too bad. I just think that it was a situation where Millennium out-team fought them with the Orianna Misfortune.
Yeah.
And they do opt for the Lulu again. So, will they opt for the Lucian setup with that? Will they look for extra damage? We'll find that out as the draft goes on. I'm expecting Millennium here to go Kindred. That would be my estimation, because it is available, and that's what they did last time.
I would like Renegades to pick a hyper carry with Lulu, because they picked it before and then only really did like mid-game picks.
There is, however, the drawback on that is that you fall behind far too slowly. I'm trying to think exactly. I think it was Vitality day 1 in the game they lost.
Yeah.
Against Roccat. Picked the Tristana with the Lulu and just fell behind early, and Roccat snowballed the game and won. If that happens, that is problematic, because if Millennium play for a faster pace, with 280 carries that they've locked in, they could lose the game early.
So, if we came into game 1 and said that, I'd be like, I agree completely.
Yeah.
But now with 3 games in the books, then we've seen how long these games are going and how like these teams interacting, and you're getting like past the 30-minute mark, even past the 40-minute mark, so there's a lot of time to play with.
Sure.
Yes, if Millennium change up the playstyle, which can definitely happen because they have to with the bans coming out, you could see a faster game and that composition being shut down. But going off the information that they've had this series, I feel like it can make sense. But we haven't had the hyper carry locked in yet, so
No,
we'll get
we
there
haven't
when
yet.
we go there.
If it gets there, Poppy has been locked in. Graves, I would estimate top lane. Didn't work greatly in the jungle. So I would say Alphari's had a whole lot more success with it as a top laner. Hans Sama and Masterwork. Hans Sama already has his Kalista locked in, and Alistair goes very well with Kalista. Alistair into Poppy. Poppy denies the headbutt, denies the combination. Not exactly the easiest matchup for Alistair to actually stamp his authority on. Fairly easy target to hit into a wall.
Yep.
Melee range, you can abuse the buckler on the minions without getting denied too much, because buckler with relic shield will proc. So if that does get locked in, it's an interesting one. I probably prefer the Thresh.
Well,
okay.
Like, yeah, Alistair's only way really to engage is a pulverize flash onto Poppy, and then either wait out the W or get her before the W, and then you can headbutt her back, and then there's no dash to go in. There's the Anivia, has been banned out in the previous series. Now Millennium pick it up. And I want to see Pretty on this champion.
If ever there was an indicator that Millennium wanted to slow a game, Anivia is the one. You just kind of sit there. It takes me back to IWCA, Wildcard All-Star, where we had like a Nivea in every game.
Yeah. Once they discovered the meta after a day, it was just like,
Kira
everywhere.
Kira from the CIS team was just like, no, I'm just gonna you try and push, and I'm just gonna stop you all the time. So Lucian was the champion we had locked in last time. I kind of expect them to go the Lucian again if they really want to run the same comp. But that was with the Graves jungle. Now is where we see the swap up. Okay, Trist gets locked in. So now what do they bring from the jungle or top lane? Could go for Lissandra top. Could be an option. Looking for a top laner on Millennium, so they have to at least blind pick a top laner here for Renegades. So they go Elise jungle, Graves up to the top lane for Alphari. He's been playing that blind anyway. The matchup we saw earlier was the Shen into the Graves that didn't work.
Yeah.
Mundo worked well for Millennium in game 2.
It did, but does Mundo faces the same issues as Shen really? Okay, he's slightly better in team fights. Shen is worse, I feel. Like we literally saw the problems that it can face up against Graves top.
But then I think Shen has other benefits in that
Also
Mundo, yes, he will become tanky. Shen will become almost as tanky and offer the global presence, and we know that's what Millennium like to do. Has been locked in, so I agree with you that I think the matchup is the same. We'll probably see Millennium look for the lane swap again. This time though, Renegades Banditos with the Trist have the tower pushing potential in the early game. I think the swap actually may favor them here, believe it or not. Depending on how detrimental the Graves the Graves Shen matchup is, I'm just kind of trying to play things out. I think the difficulty comes with the Poppy Alistair in the 2 versus 2. I really think that's kind of the tough bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't think actually that Kalista Alistair is going to straight up win that 2v2.
Yeah, honestly, I prefer the lane swap for like Renegades here, because then you get the Tristana able to get farm, and then you don't get a shutdown. Like Graves as well is just gonna do fine.
Actually, I think there's tough situations on this lane swap because there's benefits to both.
Yeah.
Like the push from Renegades is going to be faster, but I don't know whether it's going to be significantly faster for them. They will have the Tryst. They can get the turret down. I'm really intrigued to see how this game starts, if I'm being honest. But we do, however, need to take a moment. I think the players aren't quite ready to go into the game. So I think we're going to actually take a look at the Game 2 performance that we saw out of Renegades when it came to this protect the AD carry kind of style and see the problems that they ran into. This was the one fight that they actually were able to take for the Renegades, but this was too little too late. As Lulu and Tahm Kench protecting the AD carry in that kind of setup, but just was too little too late in that game.
Yeah. And from there, they did change up their game plan in this game, which I like.
Yeah.
They saw the mistakes. You could argue, did they see those mistakes and adapt too slowly? Because it was a game in between and then adapted. And now if they lose this game, they're out. So maybe a little too slow. But if this works, then we're up to game 5 and it all comes down to the last game. So yeah, we can see what goes on in this game. But
we can. I'm really actually looking forward to see this early game because I think Renegades come out, or not 100% come out ahead. I think that looking at the matchups, Tryst into Kalista with the support favoring the Poppy, plus the Graves into Shen matchup, I think regardless of whether there's a swap, I think it's going to be tough for Millennium to actually go and take the lead in the early game.
Well, jump on Twitter, join the discussion. It is the 4th game. Millennium are leading 2-1 in this series. Jump on Twitter and use those hashtags RNB win for Renegades Banditos and MIL win for Millennium. The French organization fielding 3 members on their team will be French, and on the other side, 3 members are actually English. So we actually have a lot of regional pride coming into this one.
And there is. The French team is currently leading this series 2-1, so it's a big spot to be in here. And if the Renegades can come back in this matchup and take this to a game 5, it is anybody's series. But Millennium have held on so well in their games and denied Renegades the ability to fight a whole lot of times. I like that Impaler is back on the Elise, though. Good catch potential. He now has that little bit extra source of aggression for the Renegades.
I like Impaler on champions. He can facilitate his lanes rather than the other way around. And that's the problem he had when he started playing the Graves. Alphari now picking up that pick. I like it. The question we had in the champion select is, does Millennium go for the lane swap? Because it may actually just benefit Renegades as well. Looks like right now they're just fanning out with no lane swap on the cards. So Kaze may just have to bite the bullet, forgive the pun, and just go up against the Graves.
Yeah, at this point I'm really intrigued to see this 1 versus 1 matchup. Just because in the 2 times we've had this similar kind of setup, Alphari has not been able to get the setup against Kaze 1v1. He's always had a lane swap, whether it was the Tahm Kench or whether it was the Shen. It was only in, I think, game 2 when he was playing Tahm Kench that Alphari got himself a straight-up lane.
Well, Alphari is going to be helping Impaler at the start of this jungle. Graves, actually one of the better champions at helping a jungler, because just a Q and a couple also is a lot of damage already.
Yep, and you get that knockback again. Just keeps them safe. And then you can see Impaler adjusting for the small spiderling tanking. So Impaler should be fairly healthy off this first clear of the jungle, or at least these first couple of camps.
Yeah. That's actually another really nice thing, because when Millennium went for the lane swap last time, Graves was able to jungle with Elise, and he took no damage at all from the jungle.
Yeah.
And then turned up in the lane, it's like, well, we're full health now. And your opposing jungler had to burn through pots, and is also low. Alphari already has control over this lane as well. It's just pushed up really quickly. That's something that Graves in the lane does really well. He can just Q the wave and auto, so it hits multiple minions, and just push the enemy laner in. And Shen has pretty much 0 wave clear at this stage in the game, and Alphari gets level 2 over him, so he can't even step near the minions.
Yeah, level 2 in the bottom lane was established by Renegades faster as well. Now, I believe, yeah, that is the double level 2 in the bottom lane. Hansam is still level 1. And it's all from Hiva walking into the lane, getting the first stack, and then walking past his own minions and trying to just deter Masterwork, any kind of presence on the lane, deter those relic stacks from going down early.
Impaler now hovering through the jungle actually takes away the Scuttle Crab, which was the target for Dioko to get his passive stacks, instead of camping around the area. But because of the way he cleared and knowing Dioko probably starts the top side, means it's going to take a while to go there. So there's no point in him waiting for him to arrive just to maybe pick up a kill, and instead heads into the bot side. So now the camp is gone. Alphari puts down the wall as well around 320, which is a pretty good timing just for the initial jungle clear. It's Spark, the jungler, looking for a gank.
You know, something that really has developed in the last week that's kind of interesting is Cadril. Ooh, that is so much damage off the QE combo with the tower shot. Europe is really the only region that is playing Poppy support. On a mass scale. We've seen it from the Fnatic games, we've seen it a bunch in the European LCS, now seeing it in Challenger. And there is a lot in Poppy's kit that synergizes well with a support champion. The empowered auto attack from the buckler throw does proc Relic Shield. It's a nice little way of safely getting those stacks, healing up a little bit in lane. You have the 1.6 second stun at rank 1 off the charge, the E, plus the ability to deny dashes, especially in a lane like Alistar Kalista. Not only do you prevent the engage from an Alistar, stop the headbutt, you force him to Q flash, you also stop Kalista jumping. It counts as like a dash. Anything within that radius of the Poppy W will be prevented as a dash.
So this time, the Poppy pick is actually really good.
Oh yeah, same with Kindred.
Yeah, because last time we saw it coming in from RNB, they didn't have that many dashes on the opposing team. It was like 1. This time there's 1 from Shen, 1 from Dioko. You completely destroy Kalista if you get on top of her.
Oh yeah, she can't do anything. Speaking of destroying if you get on top of.
Whoa, Dioko taking so much damage from Impaler, the Skittering Frenzy as well. Jukes out of the way of the Flash Cross, and Casual comes in. There's the first blood over to Impaler. Just a nice catch in the jungle. One of the problems with Kalista, one of the problems with Kindred early on, you're just squishy.
Yeah, you are squishy. You output a whole lot of damage. The problem was Impaler managed to dodge everything that Pretty was trying to throw in that fight. And from there, the Elise, the Cocoon had already landed, the follow-up damage was already there, and by the time Joker was starting to auto-attack for himself, there was just too little to be done against Impaler. So good start, and again, this is Impaler getting a lead on a jungler that is going to facilitate his lanes. And in that setup, that's where we know Impaler can shine. Heaver actually did not get spotted by that, so Masterwork might be looking to engage. Can Heaver deny it?
Guess
and Will does hit him.
Yeah. The shot comes in from the Q as well, but doesn't decide to go all in on Masterwork. Actually, not that many interactions in the bottom lane, and this really just benefits Taps, because he's able to just get to the point where he's strong. Then Cadril on the Lulu is able to just make him unkillable, and that is what the composition is looking for. Definitely a different style from the other games where they were looking for mid-game spikes.
Yeah, that is very true. I'm just kind of looking exactly at this map for the early game, seeing where the pressure is going to be placed. You can see once again Alphari up in the top lane having a little bit of a CS lead, just over half a wave, and the damage down onto Kaze is significant. So you can see why Kaze was trying to dodge this matchup. It's not to the level where, you know, Shen is getting completely destroyed, but it is enough to start talking about. You can see Kaze had his recall prevented, hasn't been back to shop yet, and Alphari does have that double longsword.
It's really annoying to CS as a melee champion against Graves, because it's like, well, if I step anywhere near my turret, Alphari just needs to find the right angle to blast me with End of the Line. Impaler walks through a ward, I think just trying to interrupt the recall, but not quite there in time. However, the fact that he's shown himself on the top side of the map gives Dioko some freedom if he wants to move elsewhere. However, his bot lane has gone back, and he's also going back. So ultimately, Millennium didn't get anything off of the jungle timing, and Impaler takes the top turret with Alphari.
Now, does this release too much pressure on Shen? Is the question I would have here. Because you know you're winning that matchup, now in a significant amount. For Shen really to get the most out of this, he would need to like freeze and farm for a while. The problem with that is then Alphari is free on the rest of the map. Freezing, at least in the current meta, as a way of slowing down the game, can be capitalized on fairly quickly by having 2 AD carries pushing in a turret, especially the likes of Tristana and Graves, when you consider the damage, the threat that they have around a turret. So I wonder if Renegades Banditos can punish that, but you can see Kaze actually shoving up with the wave as well, trying to just get it to bounce back, because Alphari is coming back to that lane.
Yeah, Alphari now level 6, so I don't think his Q is enough damage to instant clear the wave, but once he gets to level 7, level 9, then you literally just need to put down the Q and auto, and you clear the whole wave. And mid lane, the bird will take away the blue buff. We haven't spoken too much about mid lane because it's a Nivea Lulu, so really not that much happens apart from farming, and you can just see that only slight advantage to Cadril, but it's not even worth talking about, it's just farming.
Yeah, it is just farming right now, and you know, Nivea, is going Rod of Ages. Just such a decent build path right now when you look at it, with a lot of the AP items over the last few patches being hit. Rod of Ages was fairly strong. Then, you know, the current patches have started to tune out some of the Rod mid laners. Cadril, yeah, okay. The Frost has timed out. I was expecting him to get E'd then. Does get E'd that time around. So, you know, Anivia has so much base damage that even with a Catalyst, it's just like, oh, you stepped into my my Frost. I'm just going to throw an Ice Shard at you.
And do a
take
lot
away
of
half
damage.
your health.
Yeah, I'm starting to see why RNB banned that champion 3 games in a row now, up against Pretty. We've seen him on other control mages like Orianna. Not quite had the same effect as Anivia, as I've seen so many combos land just in the laning phase. That's going to be a nightmare as we get into team fights. Alphari has been CC'd up by Kaze, and does not take tower aggro, as Graves actually attacks very, very slowly. So, actually didn't get an auto attack off there. Oh, the Cocoon comes in from Impaler, in from the Fog of War, flash into the ultimate will protect Kaze from going down. Fantastic play by Dioko. Has to burn 2 big resources, and Kaze has to use his flash, but still, fantastic save.
Look at how many people it dragged up towards the top side of the map, which also brought Alistar up through mid. It gives Renegade's Banditos the option to push down in the bottom lane. They're not quite in position. Hansama steps forward, though. He knows he's got Alistar soon.
Stand United coming in. 2 big tanks to protect him. Heaver gets knocked into the wall. The W comes up, prevents all those dashes. Now it goes down. The knockback from Buster Shot as well will keep the bot lane healthy and alive. And big ultimates used to try and get that gank off. Didn't quite work out for Millennium.
No, it wasn't quite what they needed at that point. Nice attempt, though. I like the attempt. Problem is, Tristana, with that Buster Shot, has Rocket Jump and the Poppy there to peel. It is tough to get on top of the carry from Tabs. Cadril nearly gets caught out, but just is able to get away from the shard damage. At this point, Millennium trying to establish some vision control.
Yeah, Kaze doesn't quite catch him. If only I had Flash, I would have gotten him. But he gets away. Dioko is able to take away the camp, which had a stack marker on it, so gets another one of those passive stacks. And bot lane's still sticking around. Tabs and Heaver just has to stick into the bot lane after that gank happened. And now we'll go for these Krugs as the minion wave is kind of in an awkward position. Just going to wait for this to head to the turret before Hansama goes back to base. Or, looks like he may go Dragon actually. With the jungler in the area, Dioko might be able to head down here. There is no beat on Impaler right now, so Millennium don't really know where he is, but conveniently he's on the top side of the map.
Yeah, I think also at this point, Kalista, just with the Ren stacks, very secure Dragon for Millennium, but the real test now is what do Renegades get in response? Do they go top lane again and try and get a catch? Impaler is going to be spotted by the wards, so Kaze will just fall back behind the turret. Can't really get too much from that. So unlike what Millennium have done in previous games, where when Renegades were taking the Dragon, Millennium took down the Rift Scuttler, Renegades actually just opt to do nothing yet. Just shove out top wave, push it into the turret. Do Impaler and Alphari go to the Rift Scuttler, Rift Herald now, sorry? I think they're looking to go that way, but do they stop for it? Yeah, okay, they do. So it's a little bit delayed. Does provide the opportunity for Millennium maybe to kind of interrupt, but nobody's quite near enough.
Yeah, it's actually fairly nice to take when you have an Elise on your team, because you can use the Spylings to tank up a couple auto attacks. Alphari takes the initial couple hits from that, and he may actually just go back here as well. So yeah, it's really nice as an objective you take after taking another objective, or when there's no one around and there's nothing else to do. Alternatively, you can trade it for Dragon like we saw Millennium do last game, but it was just a nice objective to take if you happen to be in the area. And Elise as well helps that cause. Gray's gone back to base, picked up the Ghostblade. First item has pretty much been picked up every single game as Alphari's first choice. Be interested to see where he goes from here though, because with a burst mage in the mid lane, maybe he goes Hexdrinker, Sterax. He went Sterax first last time to mitigate the burst, but he may alter his build in this one.
He may do. I am asking the same question internally, but one thing I'm seeing is an engage in the bottom lane.
Oh, Heaver stops the headbutt, actually. Then Masterwork goes into his ultimate. Impaler is there to respond, though. Kaze comes in with his own ultimate. Alfari with the teleport is here to deal some damage. The damage against the wall. Fate's Call will save Alistair. And Gyoko comes down a little late to the party. Masterwork looking for the combo, question mark. He didn't have the headbutt. Oh, he had the headbutt, but didn't have the pulverize. Now the re-engage comes out. Kaze into the backside of the fight. Does not really want to be here anymore. Collateral down to the double kill over to Alfari. And RNB pick up 2 more kills. Feels like Millennium are just coming apart at the seams.
Really weird engage or re-engage by Millennium. They had Alistair out of there with the Kalista ultimate already, and then goes in, doesn't really land onto too many people. Got the knockback onto Tabs, but couldn't follow up with the Pulverize, as you said. And now Renegades take down a tower. They have this Rift Herald buff, but they are going to choose to back away, just establish a little bit of control and be happy with what they've got here. This is very similar to how the last game started, but this was the engage to begin it. Poppy not really choosing the combo to, not choosing to block the combo there because Heaver knew it was only on herself. Then a point-blank range ultimate from Heaver suspended Masterwork right the way out in front of his team. This is the re-engage. Look at, okay, Anivia was roaming down. Kindred was not in position yet. And from Heaver to get this stun is just enough. As that is so much damage from Alfari coming off that end of the line.
Yeah, this is the composition you never want to go near a wall ever against. Poppy's going to stun you, and Graves is going to kill you. And yeah, turns out quite strong in that engagement in the bottom lane. There we go.
Quite strong.
Yeah. Yeah, so pretty, again, just clearing out the mid lane. Back to Farming Simulator 2016 in the mid lane. Actually haven't gotten any assists either. They were too slow to roam into the bot lane fight as well. So they didn't actually get any assists or any kills. But it does mean they both have a lot of CS. And just trying to get towards their first kind of item spikes. Cajal decided to go for the Frost Queen's claim to start slowing people down, get those picks. While Pretty just goes for the Rod of Ages and starts scaling up as well. And also gone for the tier. So pretty clear what he's going for. And Heaver and Cajal may be able to take away this turret. Nope. And if he is back, so that minion wave is going fairly shortly.
Well, I mean, this is now the difficulty is Renegades Banditos got to a similar spot in the last game. They got down they got down in the last game all of the outer towers. Now you've got down top and bottom, and you can't get down mid very easily. You now have to pretty much group 5 people and somehow engage on the Anivia, get through egg, and take a fight so that you can take out the enemy mid tower, but that's not an easy ask. Minions are gone flying.
Get out of here.
Whack-a-mole in action, but really, I mean, that is the tough task because Renegades have to find an opening that isn't trying to brute force mid tower, and without the right warding, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Getting to the inner towers reliably while mid-outer is still up is such a dangerous feat.
And Millennium have the stall tools to the extreme this game, now that Anivia is open. RNB paid a lot in Champion Select to stop the last composition from happening again from Millennium, because they felt that was a big roadblock for them. It opens up the Anivia that they were banning all series long. Will that actually be what leads to their downfall? Possibly. We just need to see this game unfold. So far, it's just been Anivia staying in the middle lane, but when it gets to these siege situations, then they might face difficulties. That being said, they do have a pretty decent split push threat this game, with Alfari, being ahead in terms of CS and also kills, and has had great interaction in these small skirmishes.
Also, the difference between this game and last game is last game they didn't really have the option to fight because of the resistance that Millennium had built up against the primary AD team. This time, Renegades have Elise, they have Lulu for extra magic damage built into this composition, so the fights should be a little bit better rounded from Renegades Banditos. If they can catch one person, Heaver is giving the game away, I think.
Or maybe the Ghost Blade has been popped by Alfari. The Cocoon lands onto Masterwork. He does have his ultimate, but it's going to be Fate's Call, which is the ultimate expended. That's actually better.
Yeah.
Because Masterwork doesn't have to use his own. He can still engage reliably and still stay in the back lines.
But at the same time, though, that is one of the engage or counter-engage tools down from
True.
Millennium. So the real thing here is, look, Renegades are starting to get aggressed on, and Tristana's bot.
Hiva is low, doesn't get the W off, and almost going to be bursted down. Has to flash away. Dioko now on Cajal. He drops low. Alfari doesn't have the damage to respond just yet. No one is lining up for his combo, and Cajal will be dropping to Dioko. Kaze trying to get under the tower, get on top of Alfari. He has to back away here. 1-0 over to Millennium. Minion wave flooding in. They should be able to take this middle turret.
Was that a misflash by Cadril? Flashed right into just auto attack range from everybody on Millennium. I kind of want to see that again. Also, Cadril was sitting on Cleanse while he was slowed all the way around that corner. And from that little engage, Millennium are going to take 2 turrets. Now it becomes infinitely more difficult for Renegades to take anything for themselves.
Well, Renegades go for the re-engage, but Hiva goes down and the tower does too. Millennium on the chase. Alfari is dropping low. Kaze trying to get in range to CC up his quarry, but they will back away. Lamb's Respite gets the heal off into multiple targets. End of the line doesn't quite find its mark, and Impaler, Tabs will have to back away. Casual now back into this fight. He doesn't have the wild growth, but is able to shield up his ally. Dioko will have the Shen ultimate on top of him just in case he was about to be bursted down. Millennium, what a power play.
Yeah, and they've come straight back into this game, closed the gap to only 300 gold between these two teams. Cadril is still going to try and chase out Millennium before they can look to turn to Dragon, but there are so many people still alive with just enough health. This is going to be a Dragon going over to Millennium, the second of the game so far, and Millennium seem to be in full control now. I want to watch this fight again.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, Cadril has his cleanse for the entirety of this fight. First of all, they engage onto Hiva, but Joko goes onto Cadril, slowed all the way around this corner. Cleanse was available. Watch for the flash. He didn't have wild growth. No. Normally, you'd see a Lulu do that if you're ulting people up into the air to get a triple knockup. I can understand that play, but he'd already used his ultimate on himself. And with the reluctance to cleanse, a misflash, this seems to be falling apart for Renegades Banditos at the seams. These very simple plays seem to be coming apart.
Yeah, and this is like a carbon copy of what we've seen frequently through this series. They get the advantage, find it difficult to push the advantage, then get punished by Millennium, who always find the opportunity, because it's not given to them on the silver platter, but they're able to exploit RNB, pushing too hard to find an advantage. And now it's gotten to the point where Millennium can 1, stall, and 2, are actually pretty good in teamfights against RNB. We're seeing Renegades face many of the issues they face currently. Can they change it up in this game? I feel like they have more tools to this time.
The problem is, though, their ward line is going to be so far back now without even their inner mid tower. You can't reliably try and get objectives from this. You have to hope Millennium makes some kind of mistake. I mean, Renegades can't even secure the Rift Herald, and it's gone. Has returned to the Void. Baron will spawn. And that's another just attempted play from the Renegades that is not working out.
Yeah, shut down by Millennium. I've really got to praise Millennium for their reactive plays this series and just waiting for their time to strike. They've never been making like proactive plays and being like, okay, we start this from the start of the game. It's reacting to a mistake from Renegades and then punishing them over and over and over again. And now the momentum is swinging so hard, it's just cascading out of control.
It really is. Now Millennium grouping on top tower. This is exactly what they need to do. This will extend into a gold lead for themselves. And then they'll just continue in this lane for a little bit, I think. I think they'll just kind of hang around. Shen on the bottom side. Both Shen and Graves have teleport available. So Millennium could look to push this tower. Have the Anivia to just zone away Renegades from the tower. And the Alistar. Look at the presence.
Yeah, we're finding 2 item power spikes, though, on Tabs and Alfari. Whether this is enough damage to output and actually get through the front line. Alistar with his ultimate. Kaze was already getting fairly tanky despite getting dunked in lane. Hiva trying to clear away this minion wave. Now he jumps in. Not sure if this is the right timing, though. The tower goes down, and now it's an open playing field. The Wild Growth comes up, gets some knockback, but Masterwork comes in. Fate's Call will take him out, and he's the one to secure the kill. 1-0. Questionable engage by Hiva.
These engages are all going to be about how much damage can Tabs output, and right now he just doesn't have enough to get through the Alistar when his ultimate is running, doesn't have enough to just continue to output damage while Kindred holds everybody at that 10% health mark in her ultimate. And that is really the crux of this team composition, is they need to wait for Tabs to be able to deal with everybody, and right now he can't. We're probably about one item away from that. Finally, the Banditos get themselves some time on mid tower, but it's not enough. The minion wave is dying too quickly, Pretty is back, and Nivea will deny any kind of push here. And the Renegades Banditos have once again got themselves to a point where they have a lead. They well worked a lead in the early game and could not push further.
Yeah, and it's only going to go from bad to worse. Millennium Pretty on his signature champion. Joko, we've seen how well he's performed with Kindred before in this series, and now is in a pretty decent spot. Has managed to get many of his stacks this game, is sitting on 2 items. Baron is being taken down, and RNB are completely blind to it. Now they're heading towards the area, and they do actually back off. I feel like they may have been able to nuke it down before they were able to react. Impaler has to flash away from the Flash Frost from Pretty. This is not looking good, but they did stop the Baron.
Yeah, they stopped the Baron for now. At this point, you have to look at this setup and say that, you know, Renegades Banditos, they have consistently had the lead in their top lane matchups. AD carry has almost always been going in Tab's favor when it comes to just the AD carries versus each other. But the sum of Millennium's parts has been better than what Renegades have had to offer. Renegades have always been stalled out. Their fights haven't been found in the favorable way. And Alfari now, whoa, that's a lot of damage turned in return.
Yeah, Lance Respite comes up and does get the heal. Stand United as well into Joko. He can stay in fighting range. Kaze looks for the taunt potential, but doesn't quite see it. Big ultimate goes down, and they will back away here very briefly. Pretty heading in from the mid lane, maybe able to get a pick, or at least push down this bottom turret.
They could push it down at this point with the Poppy Hammer swinging up. Only 1 minion remains, but I don't think that really matters for Millennium. Half health is this turret already as they look to continue this push.
Don't go for the engage here. No one can get caught, and once again, Heaver decides to engage when the tower's already down. He'll have to back away. Big Taunt locks up the whole lineup of RNB, and everyone is just gonna die here. Tabs knocked against the wall, Pretty looking for the kill. He will be knocked up in the air though as the Wildgrove comes out. This could be the turning point for RNB in this fight. Alternatively, maybe not. Alfari doesn't quite have the damage. He gets taunted up. The Flash Frost comes out. 3 members remain on Millennium and a full ace on RNB. And I'm not sure if they can finish the game, but they can get close to it, and Baron is alive.
Yeah, they're going to swing up towards this top side of the map, maybe push through mid while they're on the way past, but it looked like it was starting to be a better fight for the Renegades Banditos. Tabs was outputting damage in the fight. He was getting what he could done, but Millennium have just been so defensively tanky, just so infuriating to deal with for this Renegades Banditos lineup that at the end of the fight there's just too much health on Millennium. This was the beginning of the fight once again. Look at how much damage Impaler takes. He's already out of this fight. From here, I want to watch Tabs. He gets knocked up and manages to get himself back, actually flashes forward to get the kill, ended up staying in the storm from Pretty. Good wall here, blocks Tabs. He has no way to get out of this. Jump wasn't available at that point, couldn't do too much, and then there's just too much health on Masterwork. And Kaze, the double taunt got moved back into. And that was the end of that fight.
That was so well played by Millennium, just in the small mechanical things. Heaver, however, just finds a taunt onto Joko. He will go into Lamb's Respite, once again staying alive. Heaver looks like he may go down here. Pierce comes across, renders not enough damage. Impaler caught out completely. However, the Repel comes up and he jumps back to his team. Tabs takes a bunch of damage from Handsammer, but he might go down. Alfari blasts him with the ultimate, and that's a good pick onto Millennium. RNB, this is their time maybe to get something done.
But what do they go for from here? I don't think they do anything rash like start Baron. They have to kind of defend through mid. Good wall by Pretty, but you know, this could be the beginning of a turnaround for Renegades Banditos. They've got the pick, they've slowed Millennium. Now they need to hold mid tower and just somehow, some way stop Millennium from keeping on pushing. Millennium looking for their 3rd dragon, something they've been very consistent in picking up. They've been reacting to Renegade's Banditos and then taking major objectives every single time they have an opening.
Yeah, and they started the ball rolling as well fairly early with Dragon. They started at 10 minutes, so 5 Dragons is actually on the cards for them. Usually it isn't because of the game length, but in this game they could theoretically go for it. RNB haven't secured a single one so far. And Pretty, once again, great wall, looking for a pick onto Tabs. There is a reason you banned this champion against him, and we're seeing it in this game. 5-0-3 is starting to scale up massively in this game, on his way to a death cap as well if he wants it. Has the Archangel staff on top of the Rod of Ages. He's tanky, does a lot of damage. Does not have his flash, however, so that is one big thing, but also doesn't have his egg. So that is important to keep in mind for the next fight. But RNB consistently in these fights have just been out-team fought. Yeah,
they have, and so much of it just has been on the engages from Hiva have been kind of 50-50, if I'm being honest. Like, he's always looking for the fight, but so much of this pick and ban phase was constructed around getting the Poppy support. And in pretty much like 3 games now, I've not been overly impressed with the engage potential that's come out from Hiva's Poppy. It is difficult. In the previous 2 games, he had to deal with like a Morgana and a Tahm Kench. Now he's got to deal with the composition that once you engage on them, are fine to stand there. Here could potentially be the engage. Good block on the Shadow Dash coming out from Kaze. But that's just the kind of deterrent for the fight for now.
Yeah, and now Baron is still objective on the board for Millennium. And it's going to be started off and maybe rush down. RNB will react to this. Masterwork will be the one to stop them. But the W is already up from Hiva. Now he pops his ultimate, but the zone is enough. Maybe they can just go for the fight here. Joko taking a bunch of damage already. The ultimate coming in from Alphari is enough. Maybe RNB can start chasing them down. Hiva is out of mana, however. He may have enough just for one spell, but it's enough to stop Millennium going for the Baron once again, able to stall them out. They can take a mid-turret here, perhaps, but they're looking really for scraps.
Is this it? Is this Renegade's Banditos coming back into the game? They're starting to find their footing. Tabs has the damage now to really start chunking people through the fights. Finally, they get the mid-tower that they've been looking for the last 20 minutes of this game. But Millennium looks to be on the hunt here, heading down the mid lane. Big stack of minions in the bottom lane means Graves has to go down there. Alphari does not have his teleport either. This is going to open up the Baron area for Millennium, at least to take the vision control of. They actually don't care. They know the Rift Scuttler vision is there, but Alphari is going to take too long to cross this map. Hiva can't get too much done. Impaler is far too far away from this. Millennium are going to get the Baron, and then they're going to look to fight.
Now they're going to turn Cadril. He may be caught out here by Masterwork, looking for the CC to land, has to flash away, preempting the headbutt Pulverize, and has to head back to base and just try and weather the storm as Millennium are going to be closing in here, looking for a fight, looking to take down these turrets. Kind of have to question why Alphari was in the bottom lane. Yes, there was a minion wave there, but with Baron up, there's something you can't do at this stage in the game. Tabs trying to clear out some of these minions before they're buffed up. And it's only caster minions, so they don't have that many resistances. Hiva dropping low here. Now is not the time to engage. We've seen a lot of poor engages, honestly, from Hiva in this game, and this is also not one of them. If you're going to jump in, now is the time to do it. Not before the tower dives. Kaze in the back line. The W doesn't interrupt it. That's a lot of damage coming in from Tabs, though, and maybe Alphari has enough as they step towards the wall. He has his Q, he has his ultimate. Hiva dropping low as well. The inhibitor is slowly being chunked out by Dioko. The ranged harassment coming in from this lineup. Handsummer dancing and playing with fire as he jumps in with his with his passive, maybe taken out, but doesn't rotate to the mid lane now.
Millennium are trying to inch their way through. Shen recalled because his ultimate is just about to come up, so Millennium are backing away for now. Impaler has been caught!
Oh, so much damage, repels up, but there's nowhere for him to go. There's nothing to jump to, and Masterwork will just wait for him. He goes down to Pretty, padding his stats even more, and with the jungler down, this is a 5 versus 4.
It is a 5 versus 4. This is the inhib going down. Top is already down. Now they look perhaps for bottom wave, or do they push top through? They have enough minions here to take down these 2 turrets, perhaps.
This has to be the defense. If they lose this game, RNB are out, and Millennium will secure their spot. Masterwork, he's dropping down, but he's too tanky, and Dioko keeps himself alive with a Lamb's Respite. Casual trying to sit inside as well. He immediately steps out, and now Kaze is there to meet him. He is literally zoning 3 members, and they cannot damage him. The rest of the team hitting away at Alphari. The Ren comes out. It won't finish him off, but now they're on to the Nexus. This is their hopes of getting the challenger slot, and they secure it. 3-1. Millennium, welcome to EUCS.
Millennium with a very good defensive platform the entirety of the series. very impressive from that standpoint. And, you know, they play with a reactive style. They hold on. In so many of these games, the Renegades had a lead. We haven't really seen too many teams play from behind on the current 524 was preseason. You know, now we're on 6.1 in LCS. This was 524. We didn't really see too many teams playing from behind on these kind of patches, but Millennium capitalizing every single time on the mistakes, the slow pushing of Renegades when they could just never get past that turret line.
Yeah, game after game, and even with them banning out most of their composition that they ran in 2 games, Anivia comes out against Pretty, and then what can you do? He just completely stalled out the game. And that was the problem. Time and time again, Renegades, they get the early game, and they seemed very good at getting those early game advantages, but they could never close out. They could never find an objective that Millennium wasn't already waiting to meet them. And they were always, it always felt, despite them being on the back foot, they were one step ahead.
Yeah, I would agree. Just on the sense of knowing the pace of the game and knowing the options available to Renegades Banditos and how they can just kind of sit back a little bit, hold on, when is our composition more effective? And they knew that down to a T, and I like the adjustment that Renegades Banditos attempted with the Tristana from Tabs, but there was one fight that just completely unlocked this game down in the bottom lane, and just from that, Renegades fell so far behind.
Yeah, it was the wall that kept him inside, and he just ultimately went down, and you can't do much after that if you've already used your rocket jump, and that means that Millennium will now join the other EUCS teams who will be joining us from before and also coming in from the LCS. Copenhagen Wolves, SK Mouse, Inspire, and now Millennium come in, and those will be the 5 teams and we'll be determining the next one tomorrow.
Yeah, well, and I'm really interested to see how Millennium actually stack up alongside some of those teams. We've seen some of the lineups announced, and I really feel like CS looks to be a pretty strong split. But we've got one more team to decide, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow. You know, we've got Illumina Honor Gaming going up against Team Huma. It's going to be a pretty cool series. I'm looking forward to that. Some big names on the stage for tomorrow's setup.
Yeah, so make sure you join us tomorrow because those 2 teams will be going toe-to-toe in another best-of-5 to determine the final team to join us in the European Challenger Series Spring Split.
Now, if you missed any of the games today or want to watch any of the highlights, head over to lolesports.com where you can check out the matches on the VODs hub. And keep in mind, Challenger Series is going to be moving to Tuesday night with all 6 games being broadcast starting January 26th. You guys can find all of that info on Lolly Sports as well.
Yeah, and with that, Stress, that draws today's coverage to a close. So from myself, Stress, and the Challenger broadcast team, thanks for joining us today, and we'll catch you at the same time tomorrow. On to Alfari, he'll be backing away here, so will Kaze. Masterwork jumps in, and Alfari dropping low. He'll be backing off to his team, but not before another taunt comes down. Bullet time comes out as they get an insect down. Jumps backwards, knocks Joko into a team, but instantly eaten up by Kaze. And Impaler will go down for that insect. And now Hevo jumps into the back line, but the bullet time splits up the fight. Big collateral damage will chunk the back. But now Cadril drops low. He should go out to Joko. And the shutdown
definitely more difficult for Renegades to take anything for themselves.
Well, Renegades go for the re-engage, but Heaver goes down and the tower does too. Millennium on the chase. Alfari is dropping low. Kaze trying to get in range to CC up his quarry, but they will back away. Lamb's Respite gets to heal off into multiple targets. End of the line, doesn't quite find its mark. Steps out, and now Kaze is there to meet him. He is literally zoning 3 members, and they cannot damage him. The rest of the team hitting away at Alfari. The Ren comes out. It won't finish him off, but now they're on to the Nexus. This is their hopes of getting the challenger slot, and they secure it. 3-1. Millennium, welcome to EUCS.